I think an individual cannot, or individuals cannot sponsor that gig because it is way too expensive. It has to be government.
And you can never cover that money from it.
Because you can't.
Whether you say what.
But government can do it and the reasons the reasons why they should do it in the future is obvious. One, appreciate what Bebe and Chameleon have done for this industry, because these two guys have dug that road that is now confirmed as an entity or a fraternity that pays and makes life. I know there were people before who did what they did, but then we have that extra mile that we went to extend, to bring it back down here. I don't want to break down how artists have.
Bebe oyogera ekyo ate obolese Bobby Wine wali ku side ate nga mwabeeranga basatu. Lwaki tugase Chameleon, Bebe Cool, Bobby Wine ne Kiggwa.
Onayagala tukubya.
Ati battle ezirala zaaliwo before. I understand waliwo battle ya Bobby and Chameleon.
Yes.
Yali ku katikati. Ne wajjawo battle ya Bebe ne Bobby.
Yes.
Ne wajjawo battle ya Bebe ne Good Life.
Yes.
Kakati wabulawo battle wakati wa Bebe ne Chameleon.
Lwaki oli omujja
Kigwe.
Principal lwaki omujjamu?
Ati principal yaggwa dda. Ate lwaki principal muddamu omusajja mwagaza ki?
Okoma mu round 2.
Ate round 2 ng'ono sinnamukwata round 1. Kansooke mmalirize ono round 1, then principal bato ye ey'abasatu ejja kujja ng'avudde mu bino ebintu kubanga abuzayo emyaka gye nga 10 bino ebintu abikoowe. Tujja muwa chance kuba ffe tujja kuba tukyatrendinga.
Toyagala bamusiime kati ssaawa zino.
Tasobola kati tasobolerako ddala naawe. Let us be genuine.
Isaac lwaki oyogera tekuli mike? Isaac aseba alina byayisaayisaawo sirina mike alese Bebe afafaagane.
Nga nfaafaagana ki? Principal talina music. Isaac atebakutiisatiisa.
We have 9 minutes.
Douglas, that being said, I think let us give shouts out to the promoters, to the events organizers, because now we have seen a trend where back in the day, event suppliers, service providers like Phenon, Talent Africa, we have Events Warehouse, all they had to do was to supply equipment. ATS, but now they are part of events. They are part of the planning process. They are part of the spending process. They are part of the sponsorship process. Let us talk about, I will give a typical example of Talent Africa. I am super proud to have worked with Ali Alibai and Talent Africa in the whole, because he is not just a promoter but an events organizer who understands the artists and the details. You can never execute an event with Talent Africa unless you've had not less than 15 meetings. 15 meetings, because the detail is in the planning. Those are the things I love. Not these things. Salvador, Twine Chipuru, cha 22nd. You don't hear from the person. You only hear on the day of the event. Or to sewa. Emotoka jiparking olinye boda nawe obude bugenze chiko kitandise. That is the most painful thing for an artist when you are not part of the process.
Okay, Douglas.
Yes,
Salvador, thank you for that plug, and but I also have something that I should not leave this stage without saying. You were talking about promoters and why artists are choosing to do their own shows. Promoters are fully disrespectful. How dare does a TV host a man who comes on TV and says he has made a list of prices of artists, and that fool, the same fool is the same one who's going to call the same artists to perform TV atabayite muje mu college mukubire kati wabera ku TV ngasaba Bebe wa milioni emu gundi asana zero kakati ekiddako nga mze mulinda. This is what happened to Eddy Sendi. For Eddy Sendi, I will say the truth.
Okay.
Eddy Sendi goes on Saturday. and talks hell about my brand and how much I deserve. Me, I listen, it's okay. But then he has a venue where he signed a contract where he does events.
Yes.
And the boss tells him, I want you to bring Bebe. So the next week he had a problem
of
to call me.
Calling me.
First calling me. He called, I listened. He said, I need you to perform for me on this day. I said, it's okay. What are the rates? I gave him my rates. I told him, okay, for that venue, I'll take 15 million. He's like, huh? I'm like, it's okay, don't wake up, manager. Nah, Bebe now, it's okay. And in that, what you do? Nonya kamilioni
erotekayo kamiri
anti ku radio show yali agamba nti oli ewa sente zino nze ndi wazino kati nga zayogera okuŋŋamba mu kutu kati nga ne mugana edda gwe engeri gye wagambye nti oli ye munene weezo zimutwalire kati ate ne mmala ne mukubira akamiri ne mugamba oyo takuleetera ezo musabe eddabo
tukomao sigaze eddakiika nnya
naye kankamaleo. So Douglas, these promoters must learn to respect the business from which they make money, and their business is artists.
Thank you so much. We have can't you bring a promoter? I think you worked with promoters first. What went wrong?
Well, I think it's several reasons. First and foremost, there was a conflict of interest. Quality versus finances. Some of us as artists were going for quality. I wanted to sing on good sound, I wanted to perform well, but the promoter had to limit the expense and then provide substandard equipment so that he can save and take away a lot of money, profits. So for me, my brand as an artist was dying. So I decided I have to invest money in the concert instead of collecting money from a concert just to build the brand.
So you're not looking at profit for you, you're looking at the brand first.
There's a different way I was looking at the profit. I was looking at it brand-wise. Because then I would use the big brand to get the money. The biggest mistake that artists do is they want to make money out of music. It is impossible enough. It is easy and possible to make money from a brand in even a country of 20 or 15 million people.
Bebe, you want to say the concerts that you did at Kampala Serena Hotel, the several concerts, the tables were, I think, 5 million?
Yes.
And your tables were usually sold out?
Yes.
You're saying you never made money from those concerts?
I didn't make profits from Serena because I delivered quality, because I had to bring in the likes of Steve G with the highest level of quality in production. So if you make 280 million and then Steve takes 190 or 200, then what about the venue? What about the rehearsal period of 6 months? What about the band? So at the end of the day, that's why my brand was leaning on what people expect Bebe Cool to present rather than how much Bebe Cool had in the pocket. So the conflict of interest is, are you looking for money or you're looking for a brand?
Okay, so do you want, you guys are pushing out the promoters. A promoter is looking for a meal. The artist is looking for a meal. How do we coexist, Isaac?
I think the promoters are pushing themselves out. Because if you're good at what you do, people are going to come to you. People will come to you, it doesn't matter. Twina very mediocre
promoters.
Yeah, but they have to upgrade. You can see growth.
Yes.
When you look at Steve 15 years ago and look at him today, the guy has grown. You know, then I promoter. With 2006, we did not have a PA that can do Nambole, but for them, they were doing it.
Because this is a very deep topic, and there are so many other issues around music concerts that I want us to tackle. Let's fast forward to the issue we have right now. During the battle of Cindy and Sheba, we saw a new key player, Victoria University, come into the field of events. And everybody was asking, University, ejirawa mubifuru. So if we have people like universities coming, you will have somebody from the UPDF, my side hustle, you will have an agency, Lockdown Next Media was organized. Not the profit, it's the brand. Kati gwe abisana no brand, now anonya send. You do not inject him the same amount of money.
Douglas, let me tell you something. Let us stop looking at these things on a small scale. Let us look at them on a wider scale. The more players come into the night economy, the night economy grows bigger. Let's look at it in terms of the economy. So if the uni closes at 6 o'clock and then it has an event after 7 in the night, Uganda is one of the most fast developing countries today, and one of the main reasons is open market. Okay, people choose what to do, when to do. So the more people we get working at night, the better for the night economy.
Before we started this, Madam Jogani Salva, unveil we made a weight of anything that Next Media is unveiling. Katigwe Salvador who doesn't have money. Because the budget of this is equal to somehow a percentage zote come concert. See the LED screens, invites, drinks, pichi, the experience. How are you going to survive in this business?
Listen,
competing against.
That is where our biggest problem is. Competing. This is an unveiling. Why are you competing to unveil? There is no need for you to compete. Do what you can. Do what you can. I have unveiled a show. The first show I did, the show before we did COVID, before we went into COVID, in 2020, when I did Kololo Airstrip. My budget was 3 million Ugandan shillings.
3 million?
3 million.
To do a show?
To unveil.
Yeah, to unveil.
That was the press conference. 3 million. From that 3 million, I paid journalists, leave alone that. I did things within my means, but I did quality things within my means. I didn't have an LED screen, Naina backdrop. I did do my unveiling in the night. During the day. You understand? You also have to be smart. How can I compete with a big entity?
So wait,
like Next Media, because I want show.
When you say you live within your means or you do whatever is in your
within
means,
your means, yes.
Here is another case study. David Lutalo was at Lugogo Cricket Oval recently. The messages that popped out after people seeing his stage, they were like, "Sha, David, ye kwata kwata, ali greedy, acha tera uka stage akatini," because they had seen a big stage at the Cindy, Sheba battle. So they expected a David Lutalo to do something of that magnitude. Now actually at a player Victoria University, probably they were looking for the brand. So Lutalo is competing against Oreo Muntu. How do you balance that?
The thing I say, live within your means, but provide quality.
JJ Sounds had quality. People just complained about the size of the stage.
I think there's a conflict of interest again. It depends on all artists are different, and their fans that follow them are different. Oyinza, I'm very sure I'm a fan of David. If Steve Jean you are producing David Lutalo, you must be very careful with that issue, because Steve is going to come. Steve is going to put too much sound, too much screens, too much lights. Steve is going to come up with costumes that look, totally American. But then David's fans may be coming from a different direction.
But they also love both things.
What is happening in this industry today is what we have prayed for such a long time.
Okay,
we are growing and growing and growing. it began like a Bebe Cool at Serena. I remember everyone was like, Serena is only for Jazz Safari, okay? So Bebe took, and I remember Jazz Safari used to charge 3 million. And then I told these guys, you know what? Why do I go for 10,000 people paying 10K in a field, yet I can go for 2,000 people, 50 tables, each table paying 5 million. So it came from a calculation. Then it also showed me that from the indoor, I can control sound, I don't have issues of weather, and then I can control light. So my production is now going to be super. So there were issues, but then even those issues have taught us as time goes by that, you know what, we can even go and build domes. Now from domes, we've seen guys are going back to the open fields. Spice Dana does her thing, and then from Spice, here we go for the battle where the stage is massive, and now wait for the next. So that's how an industry grows.
Develops. Okay, let me go to Isaac. We love the development. Big stage. In fact, I think I want to give thanks to Spice. Stage Giacola ku Cricket Oval. It caused a lot of talkability. And I think we went to the battle of Cindy and Shiba. Whoever was behind the production, Kadanke, was like, no, I need to disprove that.
Exactly.
And that's why I think the conversation here, David Lutalo,
yes,
but I'm faulting her because they expected something equally big. But the challenge is, much as we want the development, the ticket price is still the same. Ogenda kuchivulu, chichali cha makeup, mutwalo. You have production, you have advertisement, you have to pay the artists, you have all these expenses. When you high kick and put it at 20, people don't turn up. Njakudaye wa Bebe try to get a conversation near pricing, near concerts. But how do we make sure we are developing but not running bankrupt?
Let me say something about this. We are not, and I'm sure most promoters will agree with me, we do not make money at the gate anymore. Those days are gone with Lucky Dube and Chalawa Wanchekecha.
Saida Kalori.
Yeah, they made bags of money. They made money.
So no one goes home.
Today, if you do an event and you have no sponsor, there's no way you're going to make money at the gate. Not today. Why 5 years ago?
Why is it that URA doesn't understand what you're saying?
No, they will, because they don't know.
But you know they don't understand what you're trying to do.
You know they come to our concerts. One time I had like 30 or 40 people, and I guess it's because of the artist was I'm too old. I forget.
We understand. Yes.
Yeah. It was Billy Ochen.
Yes, Alba, don't you respect
So we have to try to creative arts to educate URA, Ministry of Finance.
Isaac, I like the question. Recently, I found out that Comedy Store every Thursday stopped.
Yes.
And
Alex.
I called Alex Mohand. I asked him, why did you stop? And he said, I stopped because of URA. Now, we have a problem we have to teach our government. We need to address this, I think, direct with the president on exactly what is the importance of having people do their part, their work, and research well. For example, that comedy night has so many people benefiting. Number one, you're seeing talents growing in comedy. That is one of the events that was growing the comedy, so that people can stop just watching musicians alone. Now we have the Salvadors. We have a fully fledged comedy entity. But then there are so many people who are employed on that single night. From the ones who cook, who do popcorn, to the guys who bring the chairs, to the owner of the tent, to the guys of the sound, to the DJs, to the 15, 20 comedians per day, to the owner of the event. Now, when you stop Mohanji, I don't understand the logic. So I asked Mohanji to write a letter to the president, and I want to take that letter to the president straight myself, so that he can exempt comedy, because comedy and music are the same. We need to be exempted.
Hey, Bebe. Or exempting the comedy in the music.
Believe me,
Papa message Yaliku Serena, he had organized himself. Nebaja, Nebamubuza, where is your promoter? He had to go and look for Balunwa to help him coordinate the URA process.
Issue your music anyway. All artists need to learn what taxes are before they go to teach government what they are.
Why doesn't government start to learn what events are?
No,
before they come to collect
not
the
government.
money.
The problem is not government. The problem is you, Douglas, knowing everything about taxes when it comes to your art. Okay? Do you know, Douglas, that people do not know that when they pay taxes, they can get their tax returns at a certain time from URA? Do you know that there's a word called tax returns? What are tax returns? Do you know that if you import a car and you've been paying taxes, you can... Then secondly, if you're going to organize an event, better straightforward, okay? Be to be openly. Problem we already know we are going into losses at any tweka. You are ojiraba osobola jiddo jinga bulungi nga tosasude n'ekikumi nobalekera n'obutabo bwobanga biramu naye nammwe mutandika okudduka.
Let me say something about taxes and events and everything. Our biggest problem and the biggest challenge is ignorance.
Exactly.
Ignorance from URA about events, ignorance from artists about what they should tax.
Exactly.
For example, I organize my own shows, not as Salvador, but as a company called Salfin Productions. That company, every year we file returns, but we do one show in a year.
Exactly.
That is the year where we get money to pay tax, to pay salaries for the whole year for my employees. You understand? And they file income tax.
Yes, sir.
They file income tax. So where does URA expect me to be able to pay my employees when the day I do it? One time they came to me and they said, Salvador, did you pay tax? I sat down with the guys and I asked, which tax?
Salvador.
They said VAT. I said, VAT on what? I realized they were as ignorant about my events as I was about them.
Before you even continue, there's even a minimum that says if your company does not make up to beyond 50 million, then you are not supposed to pay certain taxes.
That is VAT.
Okay, that's VAT. First, when you take off VAT, then that means you've minimized your problem against URA.
Let's leave this taxation thing.
Douglas, before you leave,
yes,
can you mention to artists? Are you talking about artists organizing as artists or their companies organizing? Because when you hear Bebe Cool organizing, it's not actually Bebe Cool organizing.
Gargamel.
It has always been Gargamel. But I had to go and register Gargamel. That is 22 years ago. So I have been operating as a company, not as Bebe.
Okay. If you've just joined TV right now, you're wondering what show is this? What are they talking about? Who are these guys? Okay, it's very simple, yeah? We are unveiling the next big thing.
You want for your brand. For example, Salvador, I'll be called. I have an event, Salvador, it's next weekend. How much do you charge? And I tell you, 10 million. Hey, Salvador, 10 million. That's too much. Unfortunately, that's my fee.
Just for talking.
Just for talking. You're just going to say hello.
Now get the Saja Canada.
And then,
yes.
And then that same person will call another comedian. The comedian will ask, Golina Meka. And the guy will say, Nina million much tundu. And that comedian will actually outperform me. The salary starts from there. So we are our biggest weakness.
Wait. You want me to pay you what you have asked?
Yes.
Wait a minute. When you're doing events,
yes,
you look for headliners.
Yes.
Nogamba when I know your artist X, I will have this so many people.
Exactly.
If that artist X asks you for 15 million, you know because it's going to bring you 6,000 people.
Because the scarcity creates demand.
Exactly. But this is an artist who cannot bring you 2,000 people, 3,000 people, asking you for that ridiculous amount of money.
It's because of what we positioned ourselves at that time. Gache Nkugambi, Salvador, I will bring an audience for you. Why? Because I've been scarce. Wanzalawa, because of my fee, and you went and got the other comedian at 1.5. Now Kukube Chifuru. So you will always refer to that comedian every time you get a Chifuru.
Okay. Let me go to Isaac. Isaac, should the artists start pricing themselves because they want to match up the international acts? Or baba sokebe umuzeko?
This is not only peculiar to Uganda. When you go to Japan, boys to men will be paid more than the local artist. There's that element. Even in the UK, if an international artist actually no because you're international, that has some value that it comes with. But then also it's your brand and the person, how much are they willing to pay to associate their brand with yours.
You were part of the KCC carnival.
Yeah.
When Gravity stepped on stage and he insulted Eddy because of the pricing, because of giving Diamond lots of money.
Yeah.
They were peanuts.
Yeah.
How did you take that in?
It was drama. I actually wanted to throw him out.
Why?
And his manager. No, because to be honest with you, is he what the same as? Because you know people have got time, albums, and things that have built their brand. Usually people charge depending on their brand, how far they have gone, are they trending? You have to consider all those things.
Okay, Bebe, why do you charge so much money? Even me personally, I can't afford you. On some of my events, and Bebe has something he does. When you fail to agree on the price, he said that and he would come.
You see, for me, I've understood what makes money for me. It is my brand. Douglas, if you notice how long I've taken to build the responsible, clean, nice-looking, driving big cars, which take a lot of fuel. You call me in your office to discuss, or you come to my office to discuss. Now, Jacolanto, no Musaja Maruka Diavuga, in your million, Yamok Kembara. Katosa Kujana offer a million in billion. Which take the Soko Conslag, then Omanye Bebe, and Yumba Jasulamu a year already was Sulako, Asulanga, 5-star. Then go Jembara, or Inamusanga 5-star, Togena Ponzisa level yange 1C. Kubanga, I would rather stay home than go Kumbo Nyabonya. Number 3, Douglas.
Yes.
When Ninya Nyoni Nengende Rwanda, Sisula Kulinya Motoka, over airport, eri below a motoka Jentambulinamu, a Uganda. It's either that same car or above. Which take it there. Then number 4, Douglas, we do put a lot of investment in brand. Era Diamond Platinum, Sanders singers against them brand. Kakati. The issue here should be, how do we balance the local payment and the international payment? My suggestion is very simple. We need the local artists to be paid well, but we also need international artists to come in Uganda, because artists learn a lot from those guys. And then also we love the fact that the audiences don't be bored. Kwanga webabeera bokkanga obalaba local artists bokka,
they get bored.
The industry bored. Then when we have an extra an import, there are new things, never funds, they get more agitated, so the industry is more competitive
and it grows.
So it is a matter of balancing. Bobo wadde Diamond emitwalo ebiri ngajja, then Jose Chameleone oba Bebe bwe bakusaba omutwalo tugulemerako, era nze nina event bbiri zesimbako wano ezisiba zireeta abayimbi. Nagamba bw'obanga osobola okuwa omu South Africa emitwalo 2 egya $, n'omusuza mu hotel, n'omugulira air ticket, expenditure is about 30,000. Bw'oba ogenda okutambula to come to me, gwe nannyini event eyo sajjogera linnya, you must have $15,000 Monsa award without negotiation.
Thank you so much. I want to endorse and salute people that have partnered with us for this particular unveil. That is Fairway Hotel, Asian Fusion. Thank you so much. You can pass by the Fairway. They have great ambience, accommodation, conference facilities, great food. Yeah. Also Hybrid Bar and Restaurant. So thank you so much, Hybrid Bar and Restaurant. And also the cocktail that I'm holding is from Recommend Cocktails that is located in Kisasi. Thank you so much, Rockabats. Going back to the issue of sponsorships, touching the up a little bit. When you talk about events, sponsorships play a big, vital role. Before we go to that question, we're remaining with 22 minutes to the unveil. So if you're watching, in 21 minutes, actually right now, the unveil is officially going to be done for you to know what the next big thing is all about. And when you see that, please head out on Twitter, hashtag next big thing. You can tag Next Media, any of our brands, and let us know what you think of what we have just unveiled. Sponsorships. To lead up back in the day, the likes of Chagulanyi, Bobby Wine, bafuna sente nyingi nnyo from telecos like MTN. Kabiri tiyo navamo bane nyumba. Like the money was so much back then. Why is it so difficult for corporate companies to give those sums of money right now?
I think I can say something about that. When these brands came, I will use a big example like MTN, because I was in MTN the time they were giving those endorsements. Back in the day, they had ambassadors. They didn't just sponsor an event. They had ambassadors. And an ambassador had 3 takeaways. They had the endorsement fee. That is to say, Salvador Tukwagalanga ambassador, this is the amount you sign. Just to have you as an ambassador.
The sign-off fee.
Then the sign-off fee. Then they had the promotional fee. Promotional fee in case they had promotions. Baina, Okola, Advert, TBC, Bichi. That was a different fee. Then they had appearance fee. The appearance fee, every time they had a press conference, and they needed you had to be paid. Separate from those other 2. Loyalty came into question when, if MTN had signed you, I don't want to give examples, but they were the best examples of why these companies lost the faith in artists. But there were artists who were signed under MTN.
Yes.
I vividly remember giving a lot of money, over 250 million annual signing fee. And then they said, you cannot appear for any other
event,
telecom company, competitor,
yeah.
Regardless of what, because you are our face, you are our ambassadors. These guys, when a new company came, they came to them and said, fair, talking about $1 million, we don't want any attachment.
I think that's Ziri
already was signed easy. All we want you to appear on this concert when we are unveiling. Yalati said, sure. That is when those corporate companies started to pull out from the whole.
Which artist was it, Bebe?
They were there. So right now they sign us per event. They sponsor us per event.
Salvador, You know me what I did? I had a different deal with Airtel. Actually, that's how I made a simple deal. It was a direct one. And that's how I ended up on the Mandela concert. Because my issue was more about the brand, not the money. But on your question, why is it that now corporate companies can't pay
those huge
money like those days? There are 2 scenarios that I look at here. Number 1, the economy has become a bit tougher. Government has opened its eyes. Today, the corporate companies are paying way much more taxes than that time when they had just begun. awo baali babba so nga basobola otuwa naye kati babakutte emikono. They're paying way much more taxes, so they reduce on how much they spend.
Salvador's point.
Number two,
yes,
quality of what to spend on. Abayimbi boyagala okuteekamu ssente, types of songs, names of songs, how does the artist look, what did the artist talk, how does he conduct himself, of what value do you attach a corporate company that can spend 200 or 300 million onto an individual. Here comes TikTok, osanga abayimbi bavuma bawemula, they look like they don't bathe, they look like hell, and you want corporate companies. Let me tell you something, Douglas. A brand is the most expensive thing. Olabezo company, they matter, everything matters. Cleanliness, how you conduct yourself, bathing, it's pure now.
It matters.
So now, Bojango Imbe Nyimbe Zuemula, Boyagala sponsorship mu company there, MTN. Sincerely speaking, Boja, Osiba ku TikTok, Empire ZDN, Zikola Bichi, Oyagala UBA Coexisting. These people have conduct. These are corporate companies. Ajigambo corporate tochera vida.
Yes.
So, if you do not behave in the line of corporate, then you cannot be favored by the system of the corporate companies.
Okay. Isaac, the corporate companies also started a new custom of organizing their own events. Bell Lager has Oba Fest that is coming 22nd. Jahazi Paya. Club does club sets, club dome, etc. etc. Tasca does its own events. If you have the corporates that should have sponsored the artists do their own events, that means they're losing much more interest in giving you the money. Where did they lose the faith?
I think it's the demographics changing, the disruption that we keep talking about. I remember some years ago, a friend of mine came to visit from Kenya. We were hanging out with King, and the guy was telling us that in Kenya, they were wondering, where is all the money going? Advertising, they said, follow the money. When they followed the money, they realized that digital was starting to take off, social media and digital, and it had eaten a big chunk. There's companies that did a flip and saying we're going to spend 80% of all our budget on social media and digital. Those dynamics definitely affect how much they are spending on sponsorship. So they spread their budgets, yes, wider.
We are remaining with 15 minutes. 15 minutes. We will be unveiling officially the next big thing. Yes, today we reveal what it is we've been singing. The next big thing, the next big thing. And again, to re-echo the words of Mr. Jochigozi Agamba, this is going to be the most talked about debt in the history of Uganda. Is Idi Amin coming back? What do you think they are unveiling?
It must be something big, definitely.
And next,
you have big size, Bebe Cool. You have Ruchi, one of the biggest gospel. You have big
comedy.
In all, not comedy, in size, in weight.
Yes.
Then we have big in the purple party. Basically, they are big.
Bebe opagenda kola bato ya mweneka million. Nga bakulese nga ogwosose wano tukubese bese weziwera wali eri 14 minutes. Kamili aje wano mugambe kakati date tugenda wano sente bweziti kigwe.
You know, also the professionalism. Kubanga nyinza okusaba wano obuwumbi contract gyoleta wale baya ku live.
Douglas, yes, nze kitegedde kati nti Unveils si battle. Okimanyi nti badde nkigamba
walabyeko Bebe n'ogamba
nedda nze mbadde manyiswa ddimu
battle
nina be nakakasa.
Yes,
ne baga bakiri baluka battle be bagirimu kyokka nti sijja tu unveiling
kirabika kyekyo
Ekya battle.
yes ebo.
I I don't think so.
You don't
I don't think so. Well, basically, ekintu kiri kimu. Joseph, are you ready for the battle? I am ready for the battle. But then the battle comes at a cost. This is the most, these are the biggest brands in the music industry in Uganda today, by far reach. Okay? Kati abantu nga ffe nsuubira nti bwe tuba bukola battle, Africa must pay attention. Because Africa. It is a 6 o'clock evening to a 6 o'clock in the morning, and it is to prove. The world has always had this question. Ani asingo kuyimba. You know, usually battles you don't need to be enemies. No. You just need to now say, okay, prove to me, go on singa, oba nze nkusinga.
Nenga omusajja omusinga.
Ati kati sisa kusalawo. Kati mwe musalawo wali ng'olunaku lukoze eki? Nga luwedde.
Oyogedde ku costi. Tukyalira ku events because the battle is also going to be one of the most talked about event. Naye otugamba mbu si eyo katujjeyo lo katujjogereko katini. The battle of Bebe Cool and Chameleon. Who is sponsoring? Is it state? Is Bebe organizing? Funds?